I have no idea how to start this one, so I'm just gonna show you what it looks like.
You know when you're a kid and you somehow find weird games in your collection. You don't remember buying it and you don't remember getting it as a gift from somebody. You just sort of have it. An example of this in my collection is Xena, Warrior Princess. Yeah. But we're not talking about that game.
No, seriously, never talking about that game. It's crap. I mean, look at it.
It controls like crap and it just sounds bad.
Anyway, 2 seconds in, I'm already off on a tangent. Where the f*** was I? Road Trip Adventure. It's a game my friend had in his collection when I was younger, and for whatever reason I used to borrow it from him because I quite enjoyed it. And recently it popped into my head again, so what did I do? Of course, I jumped on the internet and picked up a copy for £3. Gonna be the height of quality of this game, I assure you. You can trust me, I'm a man speaking on the internet.
The PlayStation 2 had an abundance of racing games. A few examples would be Gran Turismo, the self-proclaimed realistic racing simulator. Burnout, be it Burnout 3 Takedown, Burnout Revenge, or whichever one you preferred, this was essentially the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater of racing games. Ridiculously high speed, causing carnage and mass car pileups. Take realism and throw it out the window. Kind of. Then we have everybody's favourite. Everybody loved this one. The Need for Speeds. Personal favourite of mine being Most Wanted. These games being essentially the game equivalent of The Fast and the Furious. Well, sort of. There was actually a game made of The Fast and the Furious, but nobody really cared about that one as much, so yeah. As well as all these realistic racing games, we had a selection of kart racers, much like Mario Kart, such as Crash Tag Team Racing, or Cartoon Network Racing. There was even a game of wacky races. Remember that cartoon? Why am I bringing these games up? Well, it's to give perspective on what was available at the time Road Trip Adventure came out. And Road Trip Adventure isn't a realistic racer, and isn't even a kart racer, to be honest. What I can say, however, is that it's a very unique racing game which hails from Japan, from the company known as Takara. You know the one, it sponsors anime as Takara Tomy. After all the iconic racing series that the PS2 had to offer over its lifespan, we have Road Trip Adventure, the black sheep of the bunch, which does something I haven't seen since Diddy Kong Racing. It's a racing game with a hub world, but it's not like Diddy Kong Racing where you would drive about and find big gates leading to your next race or mission or what have you. No, you literally drive from town to city to floating rainbow covered cloud city.
Yeah, that part's pretty weird.
Right, let's put my name as Yuusha, since that's who I am. I don't know why I have unlikely there, as it never fits any games anyway.
Why is my name so stupid?
Okay, I get to choose the currency in the game. Well, this is different. What should I go for? Okay, fine, we're all thinking it. Cats it is. So then, on to the game. The overworld is surprisingly big, but it suffers the same problem which a lot of games that go for the whole sandbox things have.
It's empty.
Literally, in between cities, you have these massive open fields, roads, oceans, or mountains, and they're all just dead. Not a single other car in sight. The hub world may as well not be there, but that's not to say I dislike it. While yes, it's empty and to some degree pointless, I can't help but sort of enjoy them. It's very tranquil. It kind of feels like you're literally on a road trip, which, based on the title of the game, makes me about 99.99% sure that that's sort of what they were aiming for, so spot on, lads. Driving at night can be particularly atmospheric, having a lonesome, almost eerie feeling to it, especially since there's usually no music. But that could be due to me turning off the radio due to the music in this game being pretty damn bad. You can tune into a couple radio stations, one local to the town you're currently in, and another which just plays the same crap over and over. Not really worth it if I'm honest. The music has that weird MIDI style sound to it. I can't place my finger on exactly what it makes me think of, but all I can say is that it's somehow very Japanese in how it sounds, which is obviously very fitting.
So, putting the overworld to the side for a minute, let's talk about the meat of the game. What would a racing game be without races?
The races all take place across various tracks, all themed after the towns that they can be found in. For example, Peach Town is very much a metropolitan area, and as such the race takes place in a designated Peach Town racetrack. Unlike Fuji City, which, as you can guess from how it's named, has a more Japanese themed track as you race through big wooden Japanese buildings accompanied by quaint little pebble gardens. With 24 racers in total, yourself included, the competition is large in this game, so what you have to do to get ahead is grind for cash, so that you can upgrade things like your engine, chassis, brakes, tyres and other random attachments. I'm not even kidding when I say you need to grind. I will literally do a quick cut to show how many times I did the first Peach Town race to demonstrate how much I grinded on this track. Spoiler, it was a lot. So yeah, I officially know Peach Town better than any other track, but in my time grinding, I did notice just how big a difference the better parts have on your vehicle's speed and control. For instance, the steering. Holy crap, the steering to begin with is awful, you turn ridiculously slow. So this is definitely one of the first upgrades you should get, and as Peach Town as a grind level isn't too challenging, you don't need that much in terms of power. It helps to have better brakes and maybe a lighter chassis, but when you do eventually equip a new engine, you leave the competition in your dust. Thanks to all this grinding, I also noticed just how bizarre this game's gravity is. So many times you'll just randomly end up driving vertically just by hitting a tiny bump. Same thing happens when you drive up ramps, you just end up temporarily flying. The later stages get more challenging due to your competitors having much better parts for their vehicles, meaning they can be much more difficult to keep up with. Especially as there's one mechanic I haven't talked about yet, which you have to take into consideration before every race, and that is tyres. And this mechanic, while trying to be very clever and logical about the whole situation, just proves to be a tedious pain in the ass. The way it works is that each racetrack has a different kind of terrain. Roads, wet roads, dirt, snow, ice, etc. And each of these terrains has a certain type of tyre which is made specifically to deal with it, such as off-road tyres for dirt or racing tyres for roads. I appreciate the effort, I really do, but what I find annoying is that even on the overworld your tyres matter, and that can be a problem when going from one town which has roads to another which has dirt, or even worse, ice roads. This causes you to desperately drive towards the garage just so you can change your tyres, and while you can warp to the garages, if you haven't been to a specific garage at least once before, then you can't warp to it just yet. So chances are you'll end up having this problem at least once. I did, and it was a nightmare. Because not only does your car struggle to get any traction, but you can also horribly skid out of control due to your steering becoming so slippery. Even with all these tyre options, it's not as simple as throw on the correct set of tyres for say roads, because certain stages have multiple types of terrain. For this you get choices which attempt to cover all bases, being somewhat effective on both roads and dirt for instance, but it's still a pain in the ass to control.
I may come off like I dislike this game, but that isn't actually true. While I was playing this game and capturing footage for it, I actually had a blast and I found myself willingly continuing further into the game.
I found the towns quite interesting. I mean, sure, the roads in between towns are pretty bare bones, but you meet some interesting people in the towns. Oh, and I should mention this because it's no doubt on some people's minds while looking at this scene. The Disney movie Cars came out after this game, so technically this game did the whole world populated by only cars thing first. I was surprised too. So where was I? Yeah, interesting stories in the town. Well, I say interesting. They're not super in-depth or gripping stories, but it is pretty neat to see certain stories unfolding around the towns, such as a member of Fuji Town's daughter going missing and it turned out she was essentially kidnapped by the mob. Plus Goro.
Truly riveting depth to these characters.
I joke, but Goro actually has more use than you'd think, as one of Road Trip Adventure's more unique features is that while traversing the land you can bump into certain NPCs who will offer to race alongside you as part of a team, and this is actually something very worthwhile. As well as you can have 2 other team members, and the best part about this is, if they also do well in races, you can get their prize money. So it's a win-win-win. You do, however, need to make sure you find actual good teammates, as no matter how much fancy engines and parts you strap onto them, some just don't cut it. Although I'll keep Goro. He's special. For he is Goro. Road Trip Adventure has shown to be quite ambitious with its large overworld, attempts at giving towns backstory and the multitude of different parts you can equip to your vehicles. Different engines, chassis, tyres, bodies. You can even add on wings and jets to help you glide and boost through tough situations. So seriously, this game has quite a lot to offer. Plenty of interesting places to explore. Even though they're a bit empty, it's still interesting to see just how much they modelled. And if you get bored with the normal racing in Overworld, they threw a few mini-games into the mix, an example being a time trial where you have to reach the finish line in the fastest time possible, but here's the catch, the track is ridiculously narrow, and one wrong move throws you off into the lava. The guy pretty much warns you before this one. You could die. And like a boss, you're just like, f it. So overall, I'd say I have mostly positive things to say about this. Just because a game has a few flaws doesn't mean it's bad. So I do recommend this game, and like I said, I picked this up for £3 online, so it can't be that rare. So if you get the chance to play it, I recommend it. Who doesn't want to play a game where the entire world is populated by cars and you pay for goods using cats, and it's common practice for cars to have water skis and wings strapped to them, and rainbow cities in the sky.
Oh, man, I need to go lie down.